All right, everyone, I'm just finishing up on the porting of my 49 Ford Flathead. Pretty much spent all day doing the porting on the block, and I'm just going to finish up on the intake here. I did lay my gasket down onto the intake here, and I dicummed everything and then laid the gasket down on there and scribed around. And this intake is actually really close. You can just barely see. I just got to take a little bit out here and there to match it up to the block. This was a Speedway intake. This is actually the intake that we custom machined over at Larry's to fit my adapter to put the supercharger on. So this is kind of what the intake looks like once we got done machining it. Once I assemble the engine, I'll set the supercharger on there with the adapter and get all the pulleys all lined up, and then I'll tack the adapter on there, pull the intake back off, and do a complete weld on it. So that'll be a whole nother deal. But I just wanted to show you the porting of the block here of what I did get done. So here's the relief that I put in. Like I said, it's 100 thousandths deep. So if you kind of look this way right here, you can see how we cut it in here. And like I said, I used that router with that stone bit in there, and it really, really worked good. I was trying to figure out what the best process was going to be. And honestly, it took me an hour to do all 8 cylinders with that relief, with that stone. I did one pass at 60 thousandths, and then I did a second pass at 40 thousandths, and they're all within a couple thousandths. So that's that. I got that all done. I did do a bunch of porting. You can see here's the intake valve port right here. So right down in there, I took a big hump out of there that step over here once. So when it normally go down the intake here, there was a big hump before it got to the valve up there. So I took that hump out, and then I did the same thing on this side. I laid the gasket on, scribed it out, and the block was a mile off. I mean, I took out, a good solid 1/8, 3/16 probably on a lot of these, and blended them in to match with this intake. And if I wouldn't have done that, there would have been a huge step from the intake to the block, and it just wouldn't have been efficient at all. So I do have all the intakes all done. And then I went around and I just kind of took the sharp edges off the block everywhere. I'm going to be handling this thing a few times. It's got to go back to the machine shop. They got to handle it yet too. So they're going to be very pleased that I took and got all these sharp edges off. There was a bunch of wicked casting right in here. I ground all that stuff off, cleaned all that up. But I probably got, a solid 8 hours into doing all this porting, and I did the exhaust ports here too. And same thing, I just laid my exhaust gasket up here, right here, put that on there, and I ended up changing this exhaust port. Stock is 1 3/8, and now it's 1 5/8. So increased it by 1/4 inch in diameter. And right here was the big spot. There was this big hump that stuck out right here. And if you stick your finger back here, it's just the block wall right here. But there was this big hump that really necked down that exhaust right here. And same right here, this was way over here. So when this gasket was on there, I'll just move this over once. That port was like way over here. So I ground all that out, and then I made it a nice little taper so it comes into the header. So when the exhaust comes around here, it just blends right into the header a lot better. And same down here, I blended all this in up here too. The center one, you only can do so much with it. I basically opened it up out here on the outer edge into the header, but the 2 center cylinders share this one port, and it's crazy small. But the problem is you can't make it any bigger because the way the port goes to the block right here, it's all encased in the water jacket. If you go any bigger with it, you're gonna risk getting into the water jackets then. So that one really is just what it is. There's just nothing to do with it. So I just increased what I could. Same thing on this end of the block. Made that one a lot bigger. Blended everything in nice. The center one is what it is. Unfortunately, can't do much with it. So yeah, that's about it on the porting. Like I said, I'm just gonna finish up on my intake here. So I got very little to do. This won't take me long, as you can see with my scribe lines. This intake, yeah, it is a Speedway intake, and you'd almost think they pay me for all the endorsements I do for them, but they don't. So But regardless, very little to take out. This intake was made really well. Like I said, it would have matched up to the block pretty dang good if I wasn't being so fussy here. But, you know, I might as well make it fit perfect. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. The block's going off to the machine shop again here this week to get bored, to get line honed, decked, valve job done on it. Then when I get it back, I can start the assembly process on it. It's going to get pretty exciting when we start getting everything bolted back on and get the supercharger put on top of it and stuff. So once again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Thanks, guys.